Things aren't normal. There's a heaviness, and it's growing. I can feel it. Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming at you to do one of my famed movies / Blu-ray reviews. I'm coming at you to review the movie and Blu-ray of Avalanche. I had to pause for the screen grab there. It's a little obvious, but I'm coming at you to review the movie and Blu-ray of I'm rusty. This is the beginning of the movie review season, so give me a break. Coming at you to review the movie and Blu-ray of Avalanche, which is a movie that I had never previously seen before, that I know of. I gotta say, every time I watch this, there's a familiarity about it. So perhaps maybe I did see it on TV in the early 80s or mid 80s or something like that and just forgot about it. I don't know. But if I had or had not, you know, just like with the last movie I reviewed, Dead of Winter, I found myself in the dead of winter online choosing between different kind of movies and to stream online. And I found this one, and from what I can tell, it's actually the same transfer. You know, the streaming version that I saw is the same transfer as the Blu-ray. And, you know, I actually streamed the movie twice over the course of the winter because I liked it so much. And I'm like, yeah. Then having, you know, realizing that Kino Lorber put it out on Blu-ray, I don't know when did they do it. Well, I don't think it's going to say. All it says is the date of the year, which was 1978. So I don't know. I'll probably put on the screen when the Blu-ray came out, but I was absolutely just I'm completely love this kind of movie. I mean, I don't know, disaster movies were really big in the 70s. I don't necessarily consider myself a big fan of disaster movies, but I find myself, as I already said in some past reviews, you know, during the winter, for whatever reason, I like to actually watch winter movies, and for me, this is like one of the best freaking just winter, you know, genre movies, because it's got like 3 different kinds of winter sports. You got ice skating that's, you know, prevalent, you know, heavily, maybe not heavily, but shown a good enough, you know, amount of like some ice skating, 2 ice skating chicks, and we got some snowmobile to the death race, and, you know, plenty of skiing footage and stuff. So it does definitely have a great feeling of just the, you know, the holiday, or not the holiday, but the season of winter, and that kind of atmosphere, having been filmed apparently in some Colorado Rockies or something in one spring. It's definitely got that cool, you know, mountain winter aspect going for it. Basically, this movie is a kind of I should be said that it's a Roger Corman production, and Roger Corman wanted to actually, you know, dip his toe, or whatever the hell you want to call it, into the disaster film genre, and he did it with Avalanche, of course. And this movie, he thought he'd go for broke and actually get some stars, maybe some star power would attract people to this production. So he's got Rock Hudson, of which that, you know, I knew he was a star or whatever. This might be the first Rock Hudson movie I'd ever seen, or probably the only one that I own. Mia Farrow is really strange that she, you know, you kind of thought she was like a highbrow or kind of uppity kind of person. It's funny that she was in this kind of campy disaster movie. I'm not necessarily a fan. I find her not necessarily even that attractive. Necessarily. I mean, it depends on what she's doing or whatever. In this movie, I kind of find her to be kind of frumpy. And I love Robert Forster. He's the 3rd billing in this movie, and a you know, pretty sizable character in this movie. He's the character, the Brody character, if you will, who warns everyone. And I guess you know, Rock Hudson is kind of the you know, the mayor from Jaws, and Robert Forster is the Mike Brody, who warns the mayor of the impending doom of the danger of the avalanche, and where this guy's newly built resort is located in this dangerous spot that could avalanche at any time, and no one believes him, and it's that kind of movie. So it's a combination of like Jaws and disaster movies. I mean, I guess in a way you could almost call Jaws a disaster movie in itself. It's like nature disaster. Maybe that's like one of the first disaster movies of the nature kind. I mean, this is kind of nature disaster, I guess, as well. But basically, the movie starts with, you know, Mia Farrow being driven into this, you know, from what I can understand, newly built resort community. It was completely and 100% financed by this Rock Hudson character, who is some rich developer, whatever the hell he is, I don't know. Rock Hudson plays this guy who had this place built in this dangerous, which we come to find out through Robert Forster's character later, this dangerous area which has had a history of all kinds of avalanches and stuff, deadly avalanches. You know, he doesn't care. He wants to build here. He's going to. I want to climb that mountain, which is obviously like a matte painting in the movie. when they show a shot of it, like, I want to climb that, and they just, you know, basically cut to a shot of a painting. It's just kind of funny. I want to climb that painting. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so Mia Farrow plays his former wife, and he still has a thing for her, and a couple times in the movie it's kind of nasty. He matches his face onto hers and, you know, kisses her, and she doesn't even want it. And like the second time, I don't know why she takes it, but the guy's really taller than she is, so maybe she's got no choice. But so that's basically what's going on. And Robert Forster, as I said, is just kind of the mountain man who built his own cabin out in the secluded mountain wilderness. I don't know why he, you know, I guess he must have built his place somewhere in the safe zone. It seems like his spot is really close to where this place is that's in the danger zone, so I don't know. They don't really go embellish much on that plot point, but like, how come he built his house in a safe spot, and this place that's not too far away is in a dangerous spot? But it's a Roger Corman, you know, disaster movie. They're not going to have all these kind of details sort out, or even care about them, even if they did. It should be said that, you know, as much as this Rock Hudson character, you know, is so enamored with his former wife, Mia Farrow character, it's like he's still just like doing hot tub, you know, baths with his secretary, and, you know, presumably screwing the secretary. And it's a PG movie, but this is before PG-13. But being PG, I was surprised to see we actually see the secretary's movies for a short amount of time, and there's an ass shot too, and it's just like, oh, that's kind of fun to throw in there for us, you know, male chauvinists, you know, pig bastards who are watching this movie. I mean, you know, watching this in the dead of winter, that kind of warms you up, seeing, even if it's just for a second. Probably is like just a second of boobies, and, you know, maybe 2 or 3 seconds of ass in this movie. So, you know, and then there's a scene, there's this character who just reminds you of, this character is supposed to remind you of like a Bruce Jenner guy. I'm not a fan of that guy or know anything about him, but I don't know what, he was some sport, I think he did some sporting stuff or whatever. Around the same time, I actually thought this guy, you know, not really knowing what Bruce Jenner, anything about him, I actually thought this was Bruce Jenner, like, in the movie, but, you know, I did some research, and apparently I don't think it is Bruce Jenner. What's so funny about this character, this like hot shot skier guy who's just screwing a different woman, you know, every day, is he, what was I going to say? Is he looks a lot, maybe I was going to say he looks a lot like, oh no, what I was going to say is his character's name is Bruce in the movie. And when I first saw this movie, I'm like, what did they get Bruce Jenner to play himself, like, you know, in this movie? And I don't know, again, I don't know what Bruce Jenner actually did, or what sporting thing he did, but this character, who's named Bruce in the movie, this character in the movie is this hot shit downhill skier who, as I said, screws a different girl every day. And even later on in the movie, he went up in the ski lift with like a couple girls, and he gets off the ski lift, when he talks to one of them, it's like completely looped dialogue as they're getting off the ski lift or something. It's like, how old are you? 16, she says. Okay, well, you know, meet me in the bar with your ID after the, you know, later on or whatever. It's just like, what's an ID gonna matter when she's not even legal? But and what 16-year-old has an ID? What's he want? Her high school ID? Like, I thought she's got to be 18, Bruce. But it's just that character is really funny, and it's just really weird that, you know, you don't feel much sympathy for this Rock Hudson character wanting Mia Farrow back very much when he's, you know, hot tubbing around and presumably screwing his secretary and stuff. It's just like shows you what a kind of just a vile bastard this Rock Hudson character is in the movie. And again, I find Mia Farrow to be, and maybe there's moments where she's kind of cute, but for the most part kind of frumpy in this movie. Oh well. So I don't know if I said how much, you know, I actually kind of like Robert Forster as an actor, and, you know, every time I see him and stuff, I'm like, oh, there's Robert Forster again. I don't know, there's just something about him. He's just such a, just an every man's man, or whatever the hell you want to say, but he does a great job as the guy who's trying to warn people, you know, warn Rock Hudson character about this, I think his name, Rock Hudson, I think is David or something like that, warn him about the dangers, and everyone's just, you know, poo-pooing him, of course. And, you know, early on in the movie there's a little bit of an Avalanche thing that kind of chases the Bruce hot shit skier guy down the hill. And the Avalanche footage, I will say, for being like 78 and just Roger Corman movie, is, you know, I think relatively good for the time. I don't think it's, you know, they actually do some opticals where they, you know, shoot a shot that's just clean, and then they'll actually optically put, you know, Avalanche stuff, you know, kind of engulfing over the frame and stuff like that. They do a lot of those kind of gimmicks and stuff, and I think for the most part that kind of optical effects, and obviously I think there's stock footage of real avalanches, and then just, you know, close-up of just foam bags of stuff just being dumped on people, foam snow rocks or whatever. Overall, I think the avalanche stuff, whenever it does happen, it happens like I think twice or something in the movie. This first kind of tease of it that chases the Bruce characters down the hill, and then later on, of course, I think around the hour mark or something like that, the actual, you know, avalanche of the movie happens. You know, I will say the first hour of this movie, which is the pre-avalanche stuff, I find to be the most interesting stuff. I will say that for me, just seeing all these different characters, what they're getting up to, and all this kind of, you know, just big, you know, celebratory, you know, they have this funky ass celebration and dance thing with some late 70s music, and everyone's hooking up like, I don't know, Bruce guy is hooking up with his skater, and this one former fling of his shows up. It's for some funny drama. You know, and she's actually got a Bruce t-shirt on that says Bruce as well, and it's just like, I think she's hotter than the woman he ends up in bed with in the movie or whatever, which is so funny, but whatever. Yeah, I guess he's got to uphold his rep of a new woman every day or whatever. But I find that, you know, for the most part, the movie stays interesting. It's got enough going on and enough kind of drama, and, you know, enough winter scenery and winter sport, you know, stuff going on that, you know, this movie, I did a little research, and it has kind of a bad rep, and I think they did like a mystery or a Science Theater 3000 spoof or some kind of stuff on it. It's just like, you know, compared to so many movies and stuff that's trying to be all serious and stuff, you know, I really go in for these movies, especially in the late 70s and stuff. This thing is really up my alley, and, you know, it's like the first hour or whatever, I find, even though there's not a whole hell of a lot going on in terms of just avalanche or danger shit, I find it to be the most interesting part of the movie, just introduction of characters and just seeing them, you know, interact or whatever. And of course Robert Forster and Mia Farrow end up hooking up in a, you know, very subdued kind of, just, it's not a sex scene or anything like that. It was just kind of implied, where later on, like the next day, she'll wake up, you know, under the covers nude or whatever kind of thing. You know, we don't see her nude or anything, but you know what I'm saying. You know, as I said, for being like a winter-themed movie, it's got a decent amount, or, you know, what I would regard as a good enough amount of, like, 3 separate, you know, some ice skating bits with these 2 chicks, couple scenes of ice skating, which is fun, figure skating, you know, and then there's really funny, like, I think Roger Corman is the one who did, like, the Death Race movies or whatever, and there's, like, a Death Race frickin' snowmobile race, which is so funny because it's like Mad Max, you know, meets snowmobiling. It's just like, you know, they start off and it's like, okay, go, and they speed off, and they're just instantly just kicking each other, and they got this woman who's, you know, racing this guy, and he's kicking her on her sled as they're both going, and he's like, bitch! And just this like death race, snowmobile race, and it's so funny. Like, I don't understand, you know, if this is something that was done back in the day, or they're just hamming it up for the movie or whatever, but there's a brief little kind of a, you know, snowmobile death match or whatever the hell you want to call it scene, which is really funny, where you've got people just going off jumps and flipping off snowmobiles and smashing into a pond, or just all this random just kind of snowmobile violence, I think, which is really funny. And you've got you know, several scenes of like downhill skiing and some kind of cool slow-mo wipeouts and stuff of skiing and stuff. So it does really have, I can't really stress it enough, a lot of like summer, or winter rather, great winter scenery and great winter, you know, sports footage and stuff to keep you occupied. So about an hour into the movie is when the real avalanche starts, and basically, you know, among the many things that this asshole guy, David, played by whatever his name is, Rock Hudson, does is he's constantly on the phone yelling with people, because people are always down his neck about, you know, frickin' building where he's building and building where he's building and all this kind of stuff. So he tells this one guy on the phone, show up tomorrow with the papers. I mean, this is before facts, so, you know, oh gosh. So basically, you know, at the end of the day, it's David's fault for the avalanche, because, you know, he's insisting on these people, you know, flying in, I was going to say airplaning in, flying in with these, papers that he needs so badly. Even if it's, deadly winter weather, which of course it turns out to be. What's so funny is, the weather, the severe weather is only like where the plane's flying in the scene. And of course, you've got these few scenes of them in the plane, and where are we? I don't know. And we'll just cut to the chase and say that this plane that is racing to David's with these papers that he needs so badly crashes on the top of the mountain and basically explodes, starting the avalanche. So it's basically David's fault for everyone dying, getting hurt / dying in this movie. By insisting that those papers were delivered. So the avalanche stuff, as I already said, is really, it's like, I don't know, yeah, the avalanche, there's a couple moments, like like I said earlier on, there's a tease avalanche later on that shows, basically a tease of what's going to come later, and then there's like this brief winter storm at night, and so the main avalanche about an hour into the movie is done really well, and I just rewatched this, and it's just like, I think this is my 4th time seeing it, because I streamed it twice, and now this is the 2nd time watching the Blu-ray. So the Avalanche stuff, even by today's standards, just goes on and on and on. Perhaps a little too much of it, but I mean, you're definitely not, wanting any more Avalanche footage by the time it's done. And all the kind of mayhem, and you see like a little shot of a little girl against a fence being like, and there's just snow thrown at her, and she's like, ah! So you see they focus on one brief point on this little girl being killed by avalanche, and then there's this funny shot where someone on a bleacher's hand goes down on the thing and someone steps on her hand, whoa, this shit goes there, and then immediately after that they show someone's face and a boot coming towards it, like someone's gonna step on someone's face trying to get off the bleachers. I mean, that's the kind of movie this is. It's disaster, late 70s, just absolute exploitation, just popcorn movie bullshit. In the best way possible, I might add. So oh my gosh, if you like this kind of stuff, you're gonna love this. So in my opinion, the first hour of this movie is the most interesting stuff, and pretty much, in my opinion, once the avalanche is done, you almost can turn the movie off. Or I found myself on the third and fourth viewings of this movie, the last third of this movie, which is post-avalanche stuff, digging people out and all that kind of stuff, to be the least interesting part of this movie. You've got this one character who goes up in the ski lift chair with this one kid, and of course they get stuck on the ski lift, and there's this whole shtick about trying to rescue the kid, and they rescue the kid. He falls down onto the net, the fireman's net thing or whatever, and from whatever reason this guy who's up there gets electrocuted, and then he falls down towards the net, and for whatever reason he completely misses it and just goes on the ground. And I never understood why that would happen, I guess just to emphasize the drama or whatever. But for me, you can almost kind of turn the movie off. I mean, not completely, but almost turn it off after the avalanche stuff, because digging people, it's I don't know, 20 minutes of digging people out and different kind of, real snow. And there's this one part where is David character played by Rock Hudson, his mom gets trapped in this one spot of the, resort, building with this other guy, and the snow is just completely blatant, just foam spray painted white. And there's even a bit in an exterior scene where you got these foam blocks which they forgot to spray paint white that are yellow, and it's just oh man. So some of the snow, that's my least favorite bit of the movie, because there'll be this part where she faints or whatever, and the guy's trying to dig his way out of that room, and they're trying to dig their way in, and it's just blatant, just foam spray painted white. And there's a couple shots where there's actual snow in the foreground, but then the stuff that's behind them is all foam. And that's some of the weakest kind of, I don't know, attempt at snowpack stuff in the movie. I mean, they're doing their best or whatever, but yeah, you just oh gosh. Then of course at the very end of the movie, it's funny because Rock Hudson's mom is revived in the ambulance, and then they speed off, all is well, mom's okay, then they speed off with this race car ambulance driver and the slippery roads going over a bridge, and then the ambulance goes crashing off the bridge and goes, exploding into the whatever little river below or whatever, and the ambulance explodes with Rock Hudson's mom in it, not real mom, I mean his character's mom. And the Mia Farrow dangling from the bridge, and it's just kind of shtick of, you know, rescuing her dangling from the bridge. And by that point of the movie, you just kind of are, you know, seen people dangling and squashed and, you know, rescued out of snowpack enough where you're just kind of, I guess it just maybe gets worse the more I watch it. The third and fourth viewing, I was just like, you know, yeah. I guess because I know what's going to happen, maybe I'm more, you know, whatever, more picky about that. But all in all, since I bought the Blu-ray, of course, and I've seen it 4 times in the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, I mean, obviously it's a movie that I enjoy, or at least the first 2/3 of it. I'm going to give Avalanche 3 out of 4 stars. I think it's absolutely fantastic, late 70s cheese. The stuff that goes on with the Bruce character and his women, and just, you know, hitting on 16-year-old girls on the ski lift, and just, like I said, the first hour is chock full of, you know, enough stuff to keep you, in my opinion, you know, constantly entertained. And then you kind of like Avalanche, and then, you know, as I said, after that, it's kind of like not necessarily that great. Robert Forster, Mia Farrow if you're into her, and Rock Hudson if you're into him. You can't go wrong with Avalanche. Now onto my review of the Blu-ray. Looks absolutely stunning. Not perfect, like towards the beginning of the movie I can notice in some static shots, like if you looked at a part, like it's like going like this, like I don't know if it's the film or the particular transfer or whatever. The movie, it's not a perfect transfer. The movie starts off kind of, I don't know, I mean it's sharp, but I don't know, this is just, you know, it's probably the best they could do with the elements or whatever. But one thing I will say is it seems like for more or less the whole movie there's this really, on the audio front, there's this really maybe not that subtle, maybe it goes up and down throughout the course of the movie, but I think for the most part there's just this kind of hum or whatever, just kind of this background hum, which is a kind of a bummer. But again, it's a B movie from the late 70s, or you're not going to have DTS digital sound. Well, it is DTS, but I mean, you know what I mean, like digital from the beginning kind of sound. But you know, the movie, for whatever reason, well, it's the late 70s, so the colors of most of the, like, a lot of the clothes and, you know, color choices for furniture and stuff, and in particular this outfit that Rock Hudson's mom in the movie wears, like at one point, maybe the first scene with her is just this green coat or green dress or whatever. I don't know, maybe the transfer is good, but the colors are, some of the colors are really crappy. But, you know, on the whole, the transfer is decent, you know, and some darker scenes later on. There's a nice, film grain seems to fluctuate. I don't know if it's depending on a brighter or, you know, a darker scene, but some of the darker interior scenes and stuff, there's a nice amount of film grain, and the image is solid. The sound, as I said, does probably throughout the whole movie more or less have a background hum, which is a kind of a bummer. The special features are just basically 3. I'll show the back of the box here. On-camera interview with producer Roger Corman, which is kind of cool. The one thing that's really exciting is you got a new on-camera interview with Robert Forster, which I want to say is like 12 minutes long. I can't remember how long the interview with Roger Corman is. Then you've got original theatrical trailer, which I do believe was in high definition as well. So I would definitely, if you like disaster movies or just winter sport movies, or, you know, both of those genres, I would definitely recommend Avalanche. As I said, I mean, 3 stars for me out of 4 stars. It's not necessarily a 3-star movie, but for me, that's how much I enjoy these kind of movies, or I guess this movie in particular, because a lot of the disaster movies in the 70s, I could take them or leave them. But, you know, I do tend to really like and appreciate, you know, winter movies when they've got a nice, of course there's a lot of fake snow, and as a matter of fact, in the interview with Robert, what's his name? Robert Forster, he actually talks about how bad he felt about, you know, they actually trucked in all kinds of shaved plastic for the fake snow and stuff, and how much he just felt so bad because they filmed this at some kind of beautiful golf course or whatever, that how much he imagined that fake plastic was just there for years and years after the production and stuff. So, but I do appreciate when there's like a winter kind of spectacle movie that really, because as much as we all hate winter, I mean, let's face it, there's a beautiful aspect of it too, and all these winter sports available to us and stuff. So this movie really showcases that aspect very well. So what can I say? Highly recommended movie, and obviously this is probably the best way you're going to see this movie at home. So mostly recommended Blu-ray, which could have been better, but again, maybe it couldn't have been. Maybe if it could have been better, it would be. So thank you very much for watching this review, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.
Oh.
What?
Fly down there?
Oh, yeah.
What?
You would?
Yeah.
It's not in town right now, though. Well, sort of. If you went like down here and over there.
Holy cow.
I know! What?
You can't tell me